When I first read the script, first of all, I just was so blown away. It was so explosive to me, and just explosive and so dense that after first reading it, of course, that's what first overwhelmed me. And then the second read through that I do on a script is more about like, now how am I looking at this? And when it took me 3 hours to go through the first 50 pages and really like look at what was going on, it just it really was overwhelming because I felt that it was so complex, all of the layers, and that it was factions, it was eras, it was a lot condensed into a very short time period, but that it really did represent so much of how it really is.
It's always a big challenge when you have well-known names transforming into other well-known names. And then on top of that, we have a very big cast. And so we have a lot of people, I think, somewhere in the 90s of cast, and about half of that are all lookalikes in some way. And then we have designing our three leads is Kazu, who is, without a doubt, and every makeup artist across the world, I mean, he's the best. So to work with him is always an honor. And a great bar, a really high bar. And I was particularly honored that he asked for me to be here. So that was, I was kind of shocked. It's our first time working together, but so pleased. He's amazing to work with. So it's good to work with someone whose bar is that high and the details, I like to think that mine is too. So, so you have these great makeups designed by him, and then we have other makeups that are also prosthetic makeups that are coming out of, me and my department to create it and to make everything look like it's in the same hands.
After I read the script and I went through lots of researching, just gathering up the photographs of each character, so mainly Megyn Kelly and Gretchen Carlson and Roger Ailes. And the difficult part is each character, I was talking with Jay too, and we had a different amount of likeness we needed on each character. And so trying to find a good balance of a look on each one was hard to do. And especially John Lithgow, and he wasn't so fond of a prosthetic makeup before, and so we kind of convinced him, okay, let's do a test and see what will happen. And he really fell in love with it. Now he really wants to do more.
Trying to walk the fine line in these characters between, paying respect to them as human beings, not making fun of the subculture of it all, because we're not doing that. Even if we may have varying political viewpoints or whatever, it's an interesting line to walk, because it is a very specific look, the Fox look in general, this culture of it. And to try and pay respect to that as the women that exist in the storyline, as well as just, it is a very specific subculture. Well, maybe it's not so sub.
After I was hired on this job, and the first thing is who's cast, and it took quite a bit. Our casting didn't begin to get finalized until right before we started filming. So we were doing a lot of stuff as we were filming and grabbing. I mean, I knew the people that I felt we would have to do things to make them special. Like Rudy Giuliani, he's such a specific look, and doesn't have a lot of hair, so we knew we couldn't just style it to make it work. And Rupert Murdoch being another one. And so we kind of knew we were going to have to do stuff along there anyway. And so as soon as they were cast, we had them go get a life cast. And we've used different, I think Rudy was in Atlanta, so we started there, had the life cast sent to Los Angeles, and then began that process. And again, trying different stuff, the actor playing him, we have to bring these things together. It's quite a bunch of large pieces.
We open with her with long hair. We know that in the first convention she's in the long hair. We know when she is, by the second time, and when she goes to see Trump, she has short hair. So there are specific timelines we had to hit with that. Then we knew that she grows her hair out, and we need to show like an arc of where she goes to. And so we have to have medium length hair for that. And so we find a point in the storyline that may or may not be exactly right. But funny and interestingly enough is when we did put the length we were going for in the medium length on Charlize, I feel, well, first of all, Charlize says, I look too much like Charlize now because Megyn Kelly has this bob and it's kind of curled. And it's like, interestingly enough, it's how Charlize wore her hair. My theory is that Megyn Kelly probably said, oh, look, I like Charlize Theron's hair. I want my hair like that. So she, styles her hair that way. That being said, we then pulled back on it to try not make it look so much like how Charlize wore her hair. So you see Megyn Kelly more. And we did shorten it a little bit more than we had intended. And then finally we have a flashback look, which is, going back to her with Roger in the early days. And that's a much more naive and less, it looks more innocent. It has a less contrived look about it because you can see how Fox morphs these women.
I think Charlize has the most, and so she has eyelids because Megyn Kelly has like a heavy eyelids, but Charlize has a deep socketed eyelid. That's quite a big difference, and also we had contact lenses made, and like a nose tip and a chin, and a jaw piece on both sides, and after we put the pieces on. Actually, me and Kelly Golden did the application on it each day, and after that, Vivian Baker, she usually does beauty makeup, and also Charlize herself. She's a great makeup artist actually, and she does some eye makeup on herself too.
Charlize is very collaborative. She weighs in. She has an amazing eye. She's very good at makeup herself. So, it's great to work with someone like that because they know a lot. So again, here I am, and you work with Kazu, who's great, and Charlize, who's great, and then so it's fantastic because everyone comes to the table with their highest bit that they can come. But I think we felt that we discovered that to get the look that looked like Megyn Kelly didn't need to be changed a lot. We felt it would be too confusing. You know what I mean? To have all the prosthetics and to get that look, we felt like we get a look that's locked for her at work. Her work look, her on-camera look, excuse me, that was lovely. Her work look, her on-camera look. And then when she's at home and other stuff, it's definitely not the lashes, and it's definitely a different look for that. But it didn't feel like it needed it, and I don't think her character went through that. She was always very business through the whole thing. You'll find it in her performances. It's quite beautiful.
She had a nose plug, which is she wanted to have that at the beginning, but difficult part is it has to be really delicate and well designed because if it's wrong, it almost looks like a joke, like a comedy-ish. And because it's a female character, it's not a male character, so it has to be really defined. So what I did was I took a cast of her nostril inside, and from that I scanned that cast. And in a computer, I designed a nose plug in a computer and printed out. So she has it's like a 3D printed nose plug every day. So just to, this took a while to settle because it's we wanted to keep it as comfortable as possible, and we didn't want to affect her voice, and so end up really small but still effective because Megyn Kelly has a bigger nostril and Charlize has a really tiny nostril, so we had to kind of mimic that.
I hope that the audience feels what I got to feel, which was I just felt it was so explosive because you're watching a timeline and the actual events that take place, some of which we add in just to tell a story, but actual events that took place and how this Me Too movement began in this particular environment that has a particular facade, what's going on behind it, and how that is hopefully relatable, that it can happen anywhere. And I hope that not only is it a great story just by way it's riveting, I felt and feel that it's a riveting story. I hope that that's what the audience gets, is that it's like you are watching and you want to know what's going to happen, what's going on with each of these women and the complexity of that. And I just hope that people feel that it's relatable, it's unbelievably explosive, and that they feel, it's just a great story.
We have Kayla, who's Margot Robbie, and she's probably the only person in this who has a true arc, a physical arc that we see her go from one person to another. So we really, and she doesn't wear any prosthetics in it, and we do just kind of beautiful, simple makeup techniques to transform her from one to another, following into how her story is being told and how she's being affected as a human being on this and how she'll end up that way. And we are using makeup. The anchor look is so famous for its lashes and heavy skin and heavy eye makeup, and that flawless look of the Fox girls. Most of their lips were all pretty shiny, not really dark or red or anything like that, but very shiny and lots of lashes. And it's not unlike us to stack 3 or 4 sets of lashes on top of someone just to be able to get the look that we need.
In a way, it's kind of hybrid, like somewhere between Roger and John. And so we didn't have much of preparation time. And that means we cannot just keep trying to figure out the good design. So I tried to keep the look of John, but the essence of Roger Ailes to put in a sculpture, because Roger looks like a bulldog or something like that. It's a really like a droopy cheeks and that, and the big nose.
The conversation of the Me Too movement, I find the most interesting conversation about it in the present moment is that men seem to be the most surprised. Like, really, would that happen to you? Does that ever happen to you? And even on set, we've had some scenes where we've been shooting and, we'll be watching the monitors, and I've had conversations with mostly men. Women don't say, does that ever happen to you? Because why? Of course it does. It has happened to all of us our entire lives.
Jay has been so supportive, and yet he hasn't really had to be a part. I mean, I've gone to him through every character and everything we're going to do, and he's just been so supportive through it all, and a dream and easy to work with. He comes in the trailer when he can and talks to the actors, and he makes the process he supports in every way, meaning he really wants everyone to bring everything to the table, and yet he's in that same place of let's find out what's really right, not necessarily to be so exacting, but to find out what's right. And what's interesting is that we are seeing the same thing. So it's just been a beautiful ride.
Jay wanted to make it very simple, and also Nicole, she doesn't want to sit in a chair for a long time, so that's why we kind of keep the pieces minimum, like just the nose and chin. And at the beginning, I was designing the makeup which covered her cheeks, because Nicole has a really skinny face, but Gretchen has a rounder. So I wanted to do that, but after the discussion, we decided to eliminate the cheek part. So we just decided to put the nose and chin. Yeah. Mm-hmm.